and welcome to another edition of Wrestling is Trash, a nonsensical podcast to where we talk about professional wrestling, past, present, and quite possibly the future. First and foremost, you know what this is. Well, you probably don't. But what this is, I am doing a review of night one of WrestleMania and a preview for night two of WrestleMania. Before I get into the WrestleMania cards separately and as a whole, fuck Hulk Hogan. Fuck Hulk Hogan. Fuck Hulk Hogan. There. So I got that out of my system. I ain't gonna talk about him no more the rest of the night. And that's what it's all about. But yeah, I got to watch night one yesterday. It was an amazing show. I got all kind of lights going on right now. Let me see if I can fix some of this real quick. But it was good. I don't think night two has anything that I'm really excited for. Obviously, they're gonna go out there and do things, but yeah. Oh, what did Hulk do now? I mean, he exists. He's still alive. That's what he's doing. That's what's happening right now. He can go the fuck home. That's what he can do. Now, same old shit. Not apologizing for being a racist. Same old shit. But let me get some blue lights going on. All right. But yeah, I ain't talking about that dude. Fuck that guy. Yeah, but night two, man. Let me pull up the card. I got it. No, I got it here on the computer. I just want to go through the match list real quick. We got the female. I don't know why I said it like that. We got the women's tag team title match. Natalya and Tamina. They won in the tag team turmoil match on night one, which was like a cluster in itself, but still pretty good for what it was. They could have went a number of ways, but I am not upset that Natalya and Tamina won because I look at it in a sense of, who is this? We got somebody cashing in. What's up, man?
Hey, what's up, B-Ron? Good to be back.
Hey. And then you got your Becky. Is that the Becky Lynch shirt?
Yes, sir. Yesterday was the first day back in the gym in 2 months because, man, I've had a lot of crap happen to my house in that storm. But you know what? I got to tell you, B-Rob, I'll break sort of like my prediction here for the first time, and that is that I think Becky's going to return the night after WrestleMania.
Yeah,
that's what all this night one, night two stuff is. They're like, oh man, she's gonna come back. Like, what's she gonna do? Like attack Ria Ripley? Like, I don't really see necessarily a great reason for her to come back. But the night after, there's always some big things. You know, there's always some big things that happen. So why not? Why not have Becky return? Mm-hmm. You know?
Yeah, it makes all the sense, man. It's just like whenever there was another previous picture of her that was floating around to her in the gym as well or whatever. I was like, yeah, she ready. It's just, they got a baby. So it's a whole different set of circumstances now. So, I mean, she's probably ready physically, but she's probably not ready mentally to get back in there and be away from the baby yet.
Yeah, that's true. I can't imagine trying to give it a go, and get in there and stuff like that. Like, right after having a kid, I know that, and, some people are like, oh, well, Seth's doing it, but it's kind of like these people that say like, oh, we had a baby and it's been rough on us. Like, okay, but it wasn't we. It wasn't we, and there's plenty of TikTok videos that talk about that. So I won't get into that. But Seth, it's different. It's something where, your body doesn't have to really physically get back into shape and things like that. And he's been just gunning it. He's just been doing everything he needs to do and stuff like that. So, she's the one who really has to think about, like you said, mentally, physically, can you be away from the child and all that kind of stuff? But maybe. But just I'm still
going over night one, but kind of ties into night two. We had the tag team turmoil match to determine a contender for night two for the women's tag titles. Tamina and Natalya did win, and we had a whole bunch of viable options in this match. We had the Riot Squad. That would have been a good winner. I mean, which would have been a good WrestleMania moment had they had that title opportunity for them to win. Also, the storyline between Lana and Naomi and them against the current tag team champions of Shayna Baszler and I'm about to say Nyla Rose.
A little similar with the strength and the power and stuff, but yeah, Nia Jax, yeah, absolutely.
Nia Jax, which, I mean, they have history there, so that would have made sense for them to win. We also had Billie Kay and Carmella, which was kind of the dark horse or whatever, because it was just kind of like a hodgepodge, and Billie Kay is doing her own thing or whatnot, which they could have made sense had they won, but they didn't go that route. They went with Tamina and Natalya. And I don't have an issue with this because I'm looking at it at the fact of you have one in Tamina that has never really had a WrestleMania moment at all. And she's been with the company for so long. So it's almost like the company is acknowledging her and, giving her that opportunity, that moment. And Natalya is a veteran. And, when you have a veteran in the company, which with Tamina and Natalya, you look at it as how long they've been there. We calling them veterans and everything and whatnot. They don't have that much time left. The Riot Squad, Naomi, Carmella, and the rest of those girls that we named in the match, which I forgot about Mandy Rose and Dana Brooke. Mandy Rose bust her ass. But they got a little more time left. I mean, things change. They could leave tomorrow and be like, I want to have a family and do some other shit. But they probably have a little more longevity than Natalya and Tamina does.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that was great, especially because I follow Natalya, not so much Tamina, because I haven't really seen much of her.
Natalya be slapping her sister on the titties and shit.
Well, yeah, that's a whole different show. That I don't think that's ever going to be on Peacock because there's all kinds of stuff there.
It's on somebody's cock.
But the thing is, you look at Natalya and she was saying, consider us champions and we're title stealers and we're all this stuff. And I'm thinking to myself, when? Like, you're not even, it reminded me of like R-Truth coming out during the ladder match. It's like, you're not even in the match. Like, I didn't know how that was going to happen. And so Tag Team Turmoil was perfect for that. And I don't know why, when I saw them especially come out last, I was like, oh, they're going to do this. They're definitely going to do this. I feel like, Billie Kay and Carmella, it's not as much like, committed to the role or committed to the situation. And so too with the Riot Squad, it just doesn't seem like they're really that over. The only thing that concerns me, B-Rob, is sort of like with Ria Ripley, and we can get into that talking about, night two in a little bit. But I feel like she's building it up so much, like consider us champions. And they just did a promo that was on Instagram. I think it was like maybe 30 minutes ago or something, like it's a special message. And it just seems like they're building it up so much that they're going to lose, to a team that in Nia Jax and Shayna Baszler, which seem, I'm not going to say necessarily over, but I mean, they seem, fun to watch and they seem intriguing, as a team. And they both have this charisma, they both have like the charisma, whether it's the sort of physical, power and displays of strength and things like that Nia Jax has, or Shayna, who, as we saw in NXT Houston, even in those days, just has a ring presence. I mean, she just commands it and can totally take over the show.
Now, with the thing, I know we're getting ahead tonight too or whatever, but I see either going either way. It's a 50-50 thing. It's a coin toss of who could win this match, because regardless of who wins, I mean, you have a heels essentially with the title, and we have now 2 shows after WrestleMania to where they can just pull some kind of flashy switcheroo on Raw or either freaking SmackDown, So, I mean, shit's still up in the air. We could have even threw NXT in there as a viable, somebody to come up to challenge for those, but they have their own set of titles now, so we don't even have to worry about that no more. But reviewing night one, the opener, we had the almighty Bobby Lashley versus Drew McIntyre. Sir, I need your thoughts on this match.
I thought that was a great match, and I'll be honest with you. I mean, I like Drew McIntyre, and I saw him in 3MB and the strumming the guitars, and I feel sorry for him. Just like with Jinder Mahal, it's like they all deserve WWE Championship reigns, even though Slater left before the end of that, and stuff like that. But anyway, the other two guys ended up champions. But Drew McIntyre isn't someone who I love to watch. It's not like you're going to have like a fantastic match or things you've never seen before, like Kevin Owens or Seth Rollins may bring. But he just has like this physical presence. And so, to go up against someone like Bobby Lashley, who to me kind of bores me sometimes, because it's like, oh, he's holding him and he's going to do a suplex and the whole blood to the head thing. It's almost kind of like Goldberg, where it makes sense. And I understand how that's a thing. But it's sort of like just kind of almost like, a rugby kind of thing where they're just kind of like, holding each other and it's a circle. There's not a lot of like, fun action and like acrobatics going on. But I'll tell you what, those two guys really put on a clinic. And it was a lot of fun to watch. And the fact that, the Claymore, it just seemed to never connect. And so when he set up, especially that whole 3-2-1, I was, oh, that's never going to happen. And, lo and behold, he ends up, I do think it sucks that they had the distraction from MVP because those two guys were going at it like so well. And it seemed like Lashley was able to put on the Hurt Lock good enough that a missed Claymore could turn into a bounce off the rope and then, put him in the Hurt Lock for that last time. I don't think he necessarily needed MVP for the interference, just in terms of story.
Yeah. I see what you're saying. And I believe if you were going to use that as a distraction, it needed to be a better one. But with the confidence of Drew McIntyre, I believe he can turn that around in a good promo. I took my eye off the ball, something in that bastard MVP. He distracted me. And he can turn it around in a promo. I have confidence in him and his abilities and whatnot. So he can turn that around in a promo real easy. I was surprised that Lashley kept it. And it goes back to what I was saying about Natalya and Tamina. He's a veteran as well. This is a redeemable moment and some redemption for Bobby Lashley. He's back in the company, and this is almost like they're paying him back for all that bullshit with Sami and his sisters and all that shit, and the whole crap with Lana.
And basically being like Dean Malenko in the early 2000s, where it's like he has like a relationship, and it's like, I'm in love with Lita. And it's like, well, this isn't believable at all. And the whole thing, like, I'm going to marry Lana. I'm like, wasn't she just like with Rusev and he's still with the company and they're like still married and you can look at Instagram and they're still doing things together. This makes no dang sense.
Yeah.
So, I mean, you could see them, paying him back. And, the thing is, Bobby, he's impressed me, he's always been physically impressive, but just not necessarily fun to watch. And I think the Hurt Business has been like the perfect thing to allow him to seem like a big deal, as opposed to Leo Rush, where you can basically just hold your nose and be like, the almighty Bobby Lashley. And it's like, this is not going to win. Like, this is, you know what I mean? Just everything is like him being the, whatever that guy's name is, like Robert Strauss, I guess it is, in NXT, where it's like, nobody can beat these men. And it's like, yeah, they're probably going to lose.
Yeah.
And lo and behold, he would. When Leo Rush was in that arrangement. But the Hurt Business, it just seems legit ever since Raw Underground. I mean, I don't know, B-Rob, do you feel like Raw Underground was almost a thing just to turn the Hurt Business into like legitimacy and get Omos into some sort of situation too?
Well, I mean, Omos came of that. So I don't know if it was specifically for that purpose, but I mean, I see where you're coming from with it. I mean, who knows? Because it was there it came in so fast, so hard, and it was gone, quicker than it came in. So, who knows? Who knows?
It's Fight Club. I mean, rule number one about Raw Underground is you can't talk about Raw Underground.
Exactly.
Like, that wasn't a thing. That wasn't a thing. We don't do it anymore.
Yeah. Yep. So Drew McIntyre took the loss on this one, and I'm not mad about it. That whole sequence, what you was referencing with the freaking Hurt Lock, turnbuckle roll through or whatever, that was beautiful. I was like, I applauded that. I audibly applauded that in my chair as I watched it on my iPad. I was like,
I
Beautiful.
couldn't believe it. I mean, that he
Beautiful.
kept it on, because like usually there'll be something when they do, a spot like that where it's like you see the arm, but then they have to kind of like, cinch in the second arm and you're like, they almost got that. I mean, they nailed it. Like it doesn't matter what angle, what seat you were sitting in, where you were being rained on in Raymond James Stadium. You could probably see it, and it was just done to a T. I mean, it looked like he was putting them out. It looked like he was like really locking it in.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I
That's
believe
hard
they.
to do.
Yeah, I believe they're still gonna have some. They're gonna try to get some more juice out of this feud here. It might continue on, but we'll see. Because we still supposedly, if you listen to the internet fan base, Brock Lesnar is in the wings, and then we also have Keith Lee that'll be coming back. So I mean, potential matchups. Anyway,
Yeah.
next thing we got on the card: Cesaro and Seth Rollins. This whole night, I enjoyed Seth Rollins, his promos and just everything that he said and everything. It entertained me. I was very, very amused.
Oh yeah, and it's funny because like there's been people talking about the Seth Rollins drip, and it just kind of started out as a joke, and then he started to really take it off on Instagram, and WWE runs with it too, and they're like, oh, look at the drip and respect the drip and all this.
And what's
And
funny
so,
about you say they've been taking advantage of it on Instagram ever since he started coming out wearing those crazy looking suits. Every last one of those suits has been popping up on my Instagram feed. The ads for him and shit. The red coat with the black fur. The goddamn the purple cloud looking suit. The flame suit that he had on for the Hall of Fame. All that shit has been popping up on my Instagram feed.
That's weird. I mean, I guess I don't ever mention anything about it. I just kind of see it and go on. But it's like if you think about it, and Instagram knows that like you keep your scroll on that screen the whole time, or you tell somebody about it, it always pops up. It doesn't matter what it is. The fact that I have
secret marketing as well.
I mean, heck, I have smart food, right behind me or whatever. And it's like I'll probably have smart food as an ad on Instagram. They'll be like, "Oh yeah, get some more of that." Yeah, it's weird, but and then him coming through the flames.
Smart food. I'm about to see if we're going to test this theory. Smart food,
y'all. Smart food. Seth Rollins last night. He came through flames, and that was really cool. And it just seemed like with embrace the vision and everything that, and especially momentum wise, like if you're on DraftKings betting, I guess I got in a little late, so I didn't get to join that pool or whatever. But you would predict against Cesaro because I mean he's never won at WrestleMania, so why would tonight be the night? Especially with Seth Smart Food Drip Rollins, getting up there. How would he beat him? And that was impressive. That was very impressive. I felt like the swings actually really connected, not just physically with like the number of them. I think it was like 23, and then also the fans. They connected with it too. I mean, there really did seem to be a Cesaro section, and I was just so happy for him because. You always talk about, oh, this guy didn't really need the win or this guy did. I think it was really good for Cesaro to get a win at WrestleMania and for, the higher ups there to see how, just like over and like loved he is by, a good chunk of the fan base.
A thing that concerned me about that whole match or whatever, they had the, where they were selling his arm, like he hurt his arm. I felt like he really hurt his shit.
Yeah, that was a little
like
weird.
He wasn't pretending. I feel like he really hurt his shit or whatever. And if he didn't, I'm glad because I mean that's a testament to him as a in-ring performer or whatever. He had me feeling his pain and whatnot because it just didn't feel right. It felt like he really hurt himself.
But, well, and then think about it like this, right? You have a match that's earlier in the night which features the Kimura. When you look at the Kimura lock like multiple times. And, Lashley isn't backstage like favoring his arm or something like that. And yet you have a match where, Seth Rollins is not known for his arm bars or his arm anything. So it is strange to have Cesaro favor that arm if he didn't indeed hurt himself. And remember, folks, this is a guy who literally broke his teeth on live TV. So, I mean,
and kept fighting.
He gives it his all. And that's why he's got the black, mouthpiece for like the last, 3 years or something, probably. I might be overshooting that a little bit, but it's been a while.
Yeah. And it's great to hear commentary, hype up that fact that, this is his first singles match at WrestleMania. They also played up his accolades about how successful he was in tag teams. Every tag team that he has been a part of, he has won championship gold. So, glad for him to put those
Absolutely.
accolades up. They touted Seth as well or whatever, but it only added to, what Cesaro was able to accomplish tonight, and that was a victory.
Oh yeah, go Cesaro. And maybe this won't be the last time he wins at WrestleMania either. It's not like some latent career win or something like that he ends up retiring right after it or something like that. I mean, I could see big things for him. Like, why couldn't he be in the IC picture, especially if Apollo wins tonight? I mean, why not?
Ooh, I got some words for that when we get to it. But AJ Styles and Almost versus the New Day for the Raw Tag Team Championships. I kind of felt that it was going to go this way. But it was just like, I still didn't want to come to terms with it for whatever reason. It was just like, it didn't make sense to me, but it is what it is. I posted a picture immediately after this match or whatever, because AJ Styles and Almost won the titles. I posted a picture of Braun Strowman and Nicholas because that's what it reminded me of.
Yes, it's funny. Right when you mentioned that and watching that match, I was like, this feels like a Braun Strowman thing. I totally forgot about Nicholas. Oh my goodness, how did I forget this? I mean, this is possibly the biggest pop of the night at 34 besides Ronda Rousey. When Nicholas won the title. So the thing about it is, and this isn't the first time they've done isolations. Like, let's say with Great Khali or someone like that, they have to kind of isolate, no, you don't want this guy in the match, no, you don't want Big Show in the match, and different things like that. But in this case, I was hoping to see some more. I was hoping to see maybe a little like Doomsday Device action. Oh, they're not almost down, but then maybe he gets up. Maybe they do win. But this just seems so like academic, almost like early 2000s kind of match, with the chicken heel, and the big guy that's with him, almost like you can see like Shane McMahon or someone else getting a Braun Strowman or a Big Show or whoever.
I had big
over the top.
I had big Viscera vibes on this one.
Yes, that's some Big Daddy V stuff right there. I didn't think about that one. I guess because Strowman's more recent, and more of just that kind of that power, that nuisance who literally has a train sound, for a move that he does. But Viscera, yeah, that's the one, like the corporate ministry. You'd put in Viscera and then you'd have like some little wiry guy, and once Viscera gets in, he's literally going to land on top of you and win the match.
Yeah. I don't know what I was expecting. I thought we was going to get more out of Almost, but I mean, it made sense or whatever. But, there was like, why'd you take it off the Hurt Business? And, just for this to happen. Look at it. Would you have rather the Hurt Business, as much praise and accolades that we give them, in the position that the New Day was in this match? Hell no. You don't want to do that to Cedric Alexander. You damn sure don't want to do that to Shelton Benjamin. I mean, it wouldn't look right aesthetically to me. It just like seeing that, it just doesn't compute. But when you put the New Day in there, just Xavier Woods and Kofi, it made all the sense, because it kind of fit that character of them or whatever. It's just like shenanigans,
Yeah, exactly. You don't want to see that happen in the Hurt Business. Like, here comes a big guy, and he's beating around cruiserweights. And then it just seems like that whole theory that Vince likes, the big guys. Oh, there it is. Like, he's knocking down a guy, and he's knocking down Shelton Benjamin, who isn't the biggest guy, at least. Because it's like, what are we doing here? But I could imagine a really epic match between Hurt Business and New Day. That could have been really awesome too. And maybe MVP provides some interference, but then you also have the third member of the New Day. And so all of a sudden you have this intriguing match of like 3-on-3, even though it's just a tag match.
Yeah. What was great about that, they got Big E to be there for their entrance and everything in their backstage interview and whatnot. So that was cool. I enjoyed that. But I mean, not much to be said or whatever. Who knows? We have the night after WrestleMania and SmackDown and all that stuff coming up. So, I mean, it could be the same similar situation how we're speaking about with the women's titles or whatnot. It could just be gone in the blink of an eye. So it remains to be seen. Braun Strowman and Shane McMahon in a steel cage match. It was there.
You didn't like it, B-Rob?
51-year-old Shane McMahon flying off the top of his cage, getting dropped on his high end of his shoulders and neck or whatever scared me. But I mean, hey, I don't know what else I was expecting. I'm glad he went in the ring instead of out of the ring.
Yeah, that's true. No jumping through tables. Like,
Yeah.
remember, I forget what it was, y'all. So forgive me on this, but where he did, I guess he does like the elbow drop to the Undertaker, and he literally just bounced off the table.
Yeah,
like,
he
I was
blew
like,
out
oh, that was not supposed to happen.
Yeah, he blew out his belly button doing that shit. He said that the impact was so forceful, he landed so flat on that bag that
it was just like a bounce. I was like, oh, I think he's supposed to land on him and go through, not like bounce off him like he's landing on some sort of crash pad at a water park where he just like bounces off the and then leapfrogs into the water or something like that. It's very different.
Yeah, but
what did you think about the result though? I mean, I was very happy that Braun Strowman actually won.
Yes,
especially WWE with its anti-bullying campaign.
I
it's going to be for everyone called stupid, and then he's going to lose. Oh no, that's right, the bully wins. Sorry.
Yeah, and then it's just like he could have worded that better. For everybody to have been called stupid.
Yeah, exactly. Like every big man who's disadvantaged or whatever, who always treated like junk by the little guys out there, something like that. And by the way,
he could have said bullied.
Do you remember
the interview?
Well,
I hate bullies.
Exactly right. But isn't it just kind of a repeat in a way, like especially with the hopscotch that they showed, in the previews of Shane McMahon with the Big Show, and things like that, where it's like, oh, he's so dumb, oh, let me draw a line here to prevent him from going past it, and different things like that. It's like brains versus brawn, I mean, I guess it's a kind of neat idea, and I mean, the jersey always looks good. Shane's always got some good WrestleMania jerseys and stuff, but it just seemed like it was oversimplified. Whereas, I don't know, maybe Shane could have, like, let's say Braun looks at him as like entitled, and Braun's like the workhorse, and the hard worker. It doesn't have to be like a bully versus someone who isn't smart, so it's like, well, this is for the stupid people. But like I said, I'm really glad Braun won because I get tired of Shane, like barely surviving against, Kurt Angle or, different people like that. And then he goes and wins. It's like he's literally getting thrown through glass windows, but he just happened to land on him and he covers him for the 3 count. Like,
a la The Miz at that last WrestleMania match they had.
Yes.
Also,
yes, exactly.
I mean, you speaking about similarities and everything, with Shane McMahon had that feud with the Big Show and it was very similar or whatever. We just had this not too long ago with Nia Jax and Alexa Bliss at WrestleMania.
Oh, yes. The thud heard around the Superdome. Oh my God. Yeah. Oh my God. Do you remember that? I don't know if you remember that from 34. Woo! Man, that's just, I mean, she bounced off the canvas. Like, there's just no way to make that, like an acrobatic kind of jump fall. Like, oh no, that was a thud.
Yeah.
On that one.
But whatever. Yeah, it goes to show you his standing in the company to where like they didn't really have shit for him to do, but they was able to pull something together to give him a singles match on WrestleMania. So that shows you his value within the company. That one of Braun Strowman, and it could have been anybody, but it was Shane fucking McMahon. They still value him even though they don't have nothing for him, and he still got a singles match, a one-on-one match at WrestleMania. Be what it is.
And I'm sure guys like Ricochet and some of those others. Again, some of the smaller guys, Cedric Alexander, all kinds of people like that who don't have a match. Or don't have a premier spot, in the card or anything like that, they must feel slighted. They must feel slighted. I mean, I don't know if you saw, and no, I'm not like a Leo Rush fan, but the guy known as, Leo Rush, Lionel Green, he, I guess, responded to some tweet or whatever about like, Logan Paul coming tonight or whatever. And he's like, okay, but they had to lay off hundreds of people for this,
Yeah, that was I remember that because they had the
sometimes there's celebrity value, as we'll talk about, I'm sure. I don't want to take your card or anything like that, but definitely something to talk about there.
Speaking of celebrity involvement, that was the next match. It was Bad Bunny and Damian Priest versus The Miz and Morrison, which, man, this was a show stealer.
Yes,
it really was. This is like match number 2 on the night, right up under goddamn Bianca Belair and Sasha Banks for me personally.
Yes, I think it was match number 2, and some people will be like, oh well, people are just capitalizing on Bad Bunny's popularity or
Well, no
whatever. Oh,
shit.
they
Why
just didn't
wouldn't
look
you?
good. I think he was great. And honestly, y'all, he is a celebrity.
Yeah.
He is very popular, not just in like reggaeton and stuff like that, but for people who forget, he was in that song "I Like It," with Cardi B
Mhm.
and J Balvin, like another really popular artist, who's crossed over into things like Trolls World Tour, among other things.
Yeah.
And you know, he has value. He has like 32 million followers on Instagram, um, and has some of the most popular songs. There's some people on Twitter, like wrestling personalities, that people who are like into wrestling and they do podcasts or whatever, that talk about how important Bad Bunny is, and it's like, okay, you don't need to do that every day. Like, we get it. He's important. I understand some people don't know him, but I think a lot of people do. And I think he really showed it. If you don't know who he is, a lot of people became believers on night one.
I downloaded Booker T. That the song that he made called Booker T.
Yes.
And it wasn't because it was Bad Bunny, it's because he did a song about Booker T.
Yeah,
I can't understand the lick of it. I can't understand the vast majority of the song. But just because it was about Booker T, from what I can understand, I downloaded it.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
So I'm part of the machine. I'm a part of the problem in some aspects. I just downloaded
He's got some catchy songs. Like, I mean, I know an intermediate understanding of Spanish or whatever, but he's got some catchy songs where it's like, if you kind of get some of the hooks of his songs and stuff like that, you can sing along even if you don't know. And I mean, he can go a mile a minute sometimes, and but he also did in the match too. I mean, I was so amazed. I thought it was going to be closer to Snooki than it would be to even, like, let's say Stephen Amell or something like that. But as I said in our iPhone wrestling chat with some of our friends and things like that, I said, I think that this is the best celebrity match in the last 10 years, if not even more than that.
If not ever.
Because I thought it'd be like, he'd be doing little things, and it'd be mostly Damian Priest. And I guess, I don't know, maybe it's a way to get Damian Priest over, and then he does like a couple little splashes, like the one that he did. And I was like, oh, okay, well, it's a WrestleMania moment in a way, but there's lots of people who've done that. But then he goes and does the Canadian Destroyer. I mean, what the heck, man? Like, where did that come from?
Not even the Canadian Destroyer is what impressed me or whatever. It's just daggone him hanging in there, getting his ass beat that whole time prior to. And then, the tandem offense, whatever, they did the freaking Falcon Arrow and shit together, whatever, which was good.
What about, I'm coining a new term, B-Rob. How about the Bunny Conrana? Bunny Conrana. I'm really surprised Michael Cole didn't capitalize on that. The
Bunny. Well, I mean, they riding heavy with the Bunny Destroyer or whatever.
Yeah, that's true. Bunnies can fly. That's what he said.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
bunnies do fly.
It was impressive. And then what I liked from the commentary,
his entrance too. My God, that was pretty amazing. That was the best entrance of the night, besides maybe Seth.
Yeah, I said he rode in on Optimus Prime and shit. Coming But I mean, I was impressed with his performance or whatever. And what I liked about the commentary and the interviews leading up into, like, even on the pre-show, whatever, everyone touted about how much of a fan he is of professional wrestling and whatnot. And they put that over real big. And it shows or whatever. One of the things that made me know that he knew, and that, from training and whatnot, before he got in the ring, he wiped his feet before he got in the ring. So I was like, I was looking for it. I wanted to see if he was going to do it. And I was like, he did it. He good.
There you go. And then holding the tag rope. A lot of people were talking about that. Cause I mean, it's like, we just forget that, people come to the middle of the ring, people dive, they do all kinds of junk, just to be able to, like, tag in, and they're not holding the rope. And the tradition is, you hold that rope so that you're close enough to your corner, so as not to be just a total, like, cheater or whatever.
And it was over the rope and not through the ropes. You had people disregard that.
And then
this
low stuff.
You hold the tag rope, and you had to come over the top rope to tag, not through the rope.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Like, honestly, I can't tell you too much other than doing stuff with Bad Bunny. I can't tell you too much that Damian Priest did. Yeah. And that's incredible. What celebrity isn't carried through a match?
Yeah, and it kind of goes with the whole thing about, Damian Priest was added to the match. This was going to be a match regardless, and he was just added to the match, just kind of as a precaution to limit Morrison's involvement.
Yeah.
But it wound up being a tag match, which a lot of us thought was going to be the case from the get-go, regardless. But they really made it seem as if Priest was just added to the match as, you know, an extra precaution.
Yeah, and speaking of that though, speaking of kind of seeing the match coming or whatever, I remember when I want to say it was Royal Rumble where Bad Bunny was there and he performed Booker T, and it was kind of like cross promotion or whatever. I told my girl, and I think I told y'all on chat, if not actually like tweeting this out, but I said I'm telling you right now, Bad Bunny's going to be in a WrestleMania match.
Oh yeah.
I was like, I know it's like 2 months away or whatever, but just give it time. I was like, he's probably not going to do anything. He's going to be like The Rock and just kind of like, oh, I'm in Hollywood or whatever. They show some commercial for a movie during the show.
Yeah, I thought it was going to be a performance.
WrestleMania. He was there like every freaking Raw leading up to WrestleMania. I mean, he made more appearances than Brock Lesnar on the road to WrestleMania, for a typical year.
I thought ultimately when he first showed up, it was going to end in a performance at WrestleMania, but
it maybe turns into like physical, and it turns into a match.
It did lead to a performance at WrestleMania.
Yes. See, there you go. I mean, it could be a physical performance. It could be a concert performance, I mean, gosh, it's funny because he says like, estoy en mi peak, which is, of course, just a little Spanish. It's like, I'm at my peak. And I'm like, already? Like, you're at your peak? I mean, like, there's nowhere to go. But I mean, hey, if this is your peak, that's incredible, what he's doing. And I found out the thing about the 2032 that's emblazoned across his chest is that apparently he thinks that his last tour is going to be 2032. And he's, I think, 27 right now. So he'd be like 39. In WWE terms, he'd probably have a good decade after that.
Word. Okay.
Probably against Goldberg at WrestleMania 50 or something. I don't know.
No. Shh.
Or The Undertaker. The Undertaker, B-Rob.
How dare you? How dare you?
That's right. Y'all know it. It's 60 years of Taker or something. I don't know. I lost count, but they'll have a celebration.
Yeah. Hopefully you go in the Hall of Fame next year in Dallas.
And he'll come out as the American Badass. So you'll love it even more because he'll come out to Rollin' by Limp Bizkit. So he'll just like totally sacrifice his legacy. Yeah.
I just moused myself. But Bad Bunny, congratulations to that guy. Congratulations to Miz and Morrison and Damian Priest, making a young guy hot off the freaking bench from NXT or whatever, already in his first WrestleMania match. Miz and Morrison, true professionals. They gave Bad Bunny the business. He took some kicks to the head or whatever. They made him earn it, and I appreciate that.
Hey, by the way, B-Rob, I was wrong about one thing, though. Remember, we were at NXT Houston, and we actually saw Damian Priest. It was one of his first matches, if I'm not mistaken, if not the, at least that we had heard of. And you're like, man, I could see this guy being a big deal. And I'm like, maybe. I just see him being like one of these guys that, he competes for like the North American Championship or something. He stays in NXT for a couple of years, and then maybe goes to SmackDown, and I don't know, maybe he turns into Aleister Black, and it's like, meteoric rise, and then nothing really happens after that, or maybe he becomes something. I didn't see him coming up this fast and this intense with the whole Bad Bunny angle and everything. I mean, they supposedly messed up his Bugatti and everything else. I mean, who knows if that whose that is or if it's rented or whatever. But I mean, car angles. I mean, who is he, like Stone Cold Steve Austin? I mean, they made this guy a big deal. know.
So we spent more time on that than anything else on the card so far. But to wrap up night one, Sasha Banks and Bianca Belair, which Michael Cole put some stank on it. He's like, the first two black women to daggone perform in the main event of WrestleMania for a WWE Championship. I was like, damn.
We're just saying it now. We're just saying it now.
I thought he was going to say African American, go somewhat of political correctness, but he's like, two black women.
Or women of color, or, something like that.
Women of color, something, but he's just like, black women. I was like,
black women, and I mean, people have immortalized that. It's like 11 seconds of soundbite on YouTube or on Twitter or something like that. But yes, oh, wow, we just saying out loud now.
But somebody said a lot of people was complaining on the internet about Michael Cole. They said he fucked up on something on commentary.
And I thought he had a great night. I would say, man, he was so good at his job, and he was just hitting every moment and building the excitement, especially with the fans being back and everything.
What did he say? I missed it.
He messed up the finish. Okay, so what happens is, Bianca hits the KOD. He's like, KOD, she's got the cover, 1, 2, and I kick out by Sasha, and everyone's cheering and stuff like that. And he actually corrected it as everyone's cheering and stuff. He's like, So I thought she got the shoulder up. I mean,
Oh,
I was fooled. It was so close or something, you know. And
ain't nothing wrong
I
with
think it
that.
was Joe that kind of protected him, you know, from that point. But I was like, oh, he did so well all night, and he messed up the finish. And
Oh, yeah.
unfortunately, people are going to remember what went on last, and you know, people might grill him for that. Even though I thought he did great.
Yeah, I mean, that ain't no big deal because I can kind of, because looking at the pin and how it was done and whatnot from their angle, it might have looked like that because when she had her stacked up real tight and everything, and when the 3 count hit, she pulled back on her or whatever. So it looked like she might have kicked out. And audio and the line of sight is different in the arena
Yes,
rather than
especially
us watching on TV.
WrestleMania.
Yeah,
You know, like you watch NXT Houston and it's such a easy view and stuff like that. But WrestleMania is such a spectacle that, you know, it's like these open stadiums and it's such a huge, like sort of panoramic view. It's a lot harder to see around pillars and all kinds of
yeah.
other stuff going on. And,
Can't fault that man for that.
but honestly, you know, the thing about that and the pin and everything, you know, this gives you like definitive evidence that these announcers, they really don't know what's going to happen. At least sometimes. I mean, this is a huge finish. Michael Cole wasn't in that finish room because if he was, he would know exactly when to say it's a 3, you know, count or whatever. So of course WWE, much like when James Ellsworth won the first women's Money in the Bank match, they'll just edit that out. We'll just pretend that didn't happen. And I promise you, on SmackDown when they show the highlight package, Cole's call won't be in there. It'll just be like whatever else, you know, the fan pop or whatever happened after. But that was a great match.
It'll be 1, 2, and then it'll just cut off and do some cinematic shit and be like, ding, 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 bell ring.
1, 2, and it shows like some Ellison May reaction, like
they'll show her goddamn daddy almost falling over the barricade.
Yes, exactly. Or Bianca's family coming in, or Montez Ford carrying her to the back, or Sasha's not accidental, but caught smile. I don't know if you've seen that, where she's and why not? That's great. I didn't think it was time for Bianca to win, but only because of the story going forward. I mean, I have been a big fan of Bianca Belair from the beginning, and I thought, man, it'd be great if she won the Royal Rumble and all that. But I just thought, at least until Sasha kind of turned into a bully herself, that she would, go to WrestleMania and then lose, because it's like she put on just this huge clinic, and she just wouldn't quite get it done. But you could see like sort of this rising star, like Bianca Belair will be back. She will have another WrestleMania moment. So it does surprise me a little bit that was, the story they ended up telling.
Yeah. So there's a lot of things that came from this that I've been talking about for years on the show when it relates to Bianca Belair. It's going to be a crazy, crazy moment because it's going to happen when that braid get cut off. It's going to happen. It's inevitable. Since the day one that I seen that thing, I knew it was going to get cut off because, it's a great gimmick. It's a cool aesthetic, but it's not sustainable because it gets in the way. You get hooked on things. She's almost tripped over buku times. It's a hazard. If you can go back, because I can tell you exactly where it happened. You remember when they was doing the vignettes for her when she was coming up and she was doing like the track meet shit and all that stuff?
Yeah, CrossFit photos and all this.
Yeah, there's an exact moment to where she was on the track. And, she was in the starting blocks and she was getting ready to take off and do some shit, like run the hurdles or whatever. If you look at the edit, right before she took off out of the blocks, she tripped on that ponytail and they couldn't cut it out enough for you not to tell.
Oh, I've got to see that. I didn't catch that.
Like they cut it as close as they could without, having to scrap that piece of footage or whatever. But when she came out in blocks, she stepped on that ponytail. And it's going to go away eventually. I don't know how far in the future this is going to be, but mark my words, I have audio upon audio of me saying when this happens, it's going to be some crazy shit, because this was the tell of the tape to her winning tonight. It could be sooner than what we think. She Sasha attacked that ponytail the whole fucking match. The whole fucking match. She fucking choked out with it. She pulled off the ropes with it. She put the
bank statement. She wrapped it in, and I thought, okay, this is how she's going to finish her.
Yeah,
she's going to do all this rolling and stuff, just like with Drew McIntyre. I almost feel like they took it from Sasha. What if we can roll you back into the Hurt Lock? And I think that's kind of what they tried to do, or the Oscar Lock, or whatever.
Yeah,
the fill in the blank lock. There's a lot of them, but the point is, like, it seemed like, that was going to kind of be her downfall. And, unfortunately, there's already kind of a stigma against the hair. I don't know if you saw B-Rob, but there's some article that was posted on Twitter, and it's funny. I think it was my friend Jason Howe, but he was like, stick to sports because this guy is saying like, it hurt Black representation and it hurt Sasha and it shouldn't be used that way. And I'm like, oh my God, do you see how many times people wail on each other with kendo sticks and all kinds of stuff?
Whoa. The person that wrote the article made the statement. Was he Black?
Oh, okay. Yeah. I don't think so. I think it was
okay. That's what it is or whatever. Then that's what it is or whatever. Because I see it as anything else. It's just a fucking prop. Jake the Snake had a snake. Goddamn Sandman had a kendo stick. It's just a prop. It is what it fucking is. Stop being upset for people who ain't upset and shut the fuck up and just daggone. And
Sasha was happy too.
Yeah.
Like that's the thing. It's like sort of the love of the game. Hell, Bailey had a kendo stick match, I think it was, against Sasha, and her back was all bruised and stuff. But, it was sort of like for love of the game. It wasn't like, oh, how horrible to see women get battered on television. Like, that's not what it is. These are people who willingly enter into this. And I'll tell you what else, B-Rob. I'm going to say something that's going to probably piss people off. And that is that I think this match was a better headliner, like a better main event match in WrestleMania than that whole Ronda Rousey, Becky Lynch thing or whatever. I think it was a good match. This one was better, 100% better.
100%, 100%, 200% at that. Fuck yes.
But, people will be like, oh, well, there's no, Sasha wouldn't be here if it wasn't for that match and blah, 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 and all this. Yeah, but if you look at the matches comparatively, like this match was just everything, especially Bianca being able to military press and like bring her up the stairs.
Yeah.
Wow.
Amazing.
God, this woman has it, like even more than I thought. And like I said, she was going to get it. It's almost like if Rhea Ripley doesn't win tonight, it's not like she's just going to like fade into the sunset and never come back at all.
Yeah.
It's just, I just didn't think it was going to be time. I think that moment spells trouble for Rhea Ripley, and that's kind of a different topic, but I think it spells trouble for Rhea Ripley because I don't think you're going to do two big, like meteoric rise moments, especially for someone who literally just walked down the ramp and looked at Asuka and was like, and so they're going to fight at WrestleMania. It's like, oh, what?
But at the same token, this is Rhea Ripley's second WrestleMania match for a title. So,
True.
Who's to say? And then once again, we go back to what we were saying earlier. Asuka is a veteran. We have less time with Asuka than we do with Ripley. So
that's true. That's true. And hey, they were bold enough at 34 to break Asuka's streak too. So, granted it was Charlotte Flair, just like with everything else, but at the same time, they were bold enough to do that one.
But Sasha Banks, Bianca Belair, one of easily within the top 10, top 5 WrestleMania matches of all time.
And also Sasha's best gear of all time.
Yeah, I liked it.
Wow.
I like
wow.
it.
You know what I mean? That just says it all right there. Just stunningly like amazing kind of gear.
History. It was history, and I enjoyed every bit of it. But
oh yeah,
let's get into the preview of night 2, and we can put a cap on this thing. First off, I'm just going off of WWE.com, going from the bottom to the top. We got we talked about it earlier, the women's tag team match. We got Shayna Baszler and Nia Jax versus freaking Samoan female and Canadian female.
There you go.
I was about to say Nyla Rose again. I don't know why she's stuck in my mind right now.
It's that powerhouse of AEW. Like it's not, obviously it's very different circumstances, very different people, things like that. But at the same time, there's kind of that presence, there's kind of that just, solid, powerful presence over everybody else where she could just ragdoll everyone. And she has. Honestly, if Nia Jax fights Bianca Belair, I forget, but I'm pretty sure they fought in NXT. I'm pretty sure she would just take her by that hair and throw her, just like she takes people by the head and throws them.
Mm-hmm. I'm telling you, man, to go back to that one little thing, whatever, the day that braid get cut off, they better make that shit a fucking angle to where it's just like a match versus hair match.
Oh my God. I was thinking the same thing when you were talking about that. I was like, what if they had a hair match? And obviously they're not going to bald Bianca in the ring, but just to cut that braid.
Yeah.
that would be something else right there.
Or even to like what we were saying or whatever, it cost her a high profile match and she just get frustrated and mad and she cut the shit herself. Like, I mean, it has to be visual. It has to be done on camera. It can't be like,
it has to have a moment.
Yeah,
it can't just be like it can't be like Lana and
it can't be like
Rusev,
Bayley.
or instead of building a wedding angle, it's like, well, E was the first report. They said on Instagram that they're engaged, and it's like, y'all forget how this is done.
Yeah. No,
you forget how Vince McMahon does this stuff. Yeah, you don't just announce you're engaged. It's a thing. It's a whole thing that has to happen.
Yeah, it can't be like Bayley or whatever, where she just came out one day and, you know, the hair was gone. Nah, it has to be visually cut on screen to where it be by her own hand out of frustration, or goddamn somebody, she lose it in the match, or somebody be like, tie her hair to the rope, beat her down and clip that shit.
And cut it off. It's like, no disqualification, even someone picks up the mic during the match or whatever it is, just something, like you said, visual, because it would be a moment. And it'd probably be in Sports Illustrated and all kinds of stuff.
It's gonna
Bianca Belair loses famous hair in match or something.
It's gonna make the person that does it, and it's gonna solidify Bianca Belair at the same time. That's the two things that cutting that braid would do. I don't know when it's gonna happen, but it's gonna happen. And as soon as I seen it, I knew it was going.
Okay, she was supposedly on the Kelly Clarkson show the other day or whatever, and that's a popular show, but that doesn't build that doesn't necessarily build Bianca. It's almost more like trying to build her up to be able to reach Sasha, as opposed to, she's walking in and she's this big deal. It was almost like, and she's taking on Sasha Banks more so than here's this big deal that's going, that's going to WrestleMania in a high profile sense, so now Bianca's at that point. Like I said, that'll make her almost like immortalized.
Yeah.
When there's that hair moment.
All right. To transition back to what we said, we got back on the tangent or whatever. The women's tag match or whatever. I feel like Reginald the Chevalier is going to be there, and he's going to cost Nia them the match, because it's he's there for whatever reason, and for him to not play a factor in any of this shit, or whether it be, he could make them win, but I feel there's going to be, a detriment to them and have them lose the match because of him. So,
or he distracts Nia or something like that. So then, like, Shayna ends up losing or something like that. That's the only thing I could really think of.
In a feud between them two, because it seems like they just always been at each other since they've been a team or associated with each other. So hopefully that's what it'll go to.
This is hard though, isn't it? Because like I said, I follow Natalya on Instagram, and so I've been seeing her talk about, Tamina and how it's their time and all this. And it's like, isn't it just kind of building up this big deal, kind of like, I felt like Bianca was, kind of building up this big deal until Sasha started being a bully. That's when I changed my prediction to Bianca. But that they're making it like so hyped up that it's like you have to lose, because it wouldn't be dangerous to allow Nia and Shayna to still be champions. They could still, really be powerhouses. They could still compete with the likes of, everyone in the division. And, of course, Tamina, I think, makes it sort of that X factor, because she is strong and she can go with Baszler. I mean, so is Natalya. She's no slouch either. It's not like she's just being thrown around. So I don't know who's going to win offhand. I really have to kind of think about that one. My honest prediction, though, would be retaining the titles, though, just because of all that hype, magnet that Natalya's trying to create. And I don't necessarily feel like it's going to be that time yet.
Yeah. Regardless of however you feel about Tamina or how much the internet trashes or whatever, best super kick by any female I've ever seen.
Yes, 100%. I mean, right in the neck, right in the face. I mean, like it. How we talk about leg slaps or they're not making contact or whatever. It really looks like it. Mm-hmm. It really looks like it a lot of the time.
Interesting match between Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn, two lifelong friends, two lifelong rivals in professional wrestling history, are finally making their WrestleMania debut in a one-on-one match, which is going to be glorious. Whether it be shenanigans or they just literally beat the hell out of each other, it's going to be cool to see something like this culminate for lifelong fans of El Generico and Kevin Steen.
Yeah, absolutely. There were years where I think it was Sami Zayn was injured. There was one time, and then of course, like last year, maybe that would have been what you built, but then you have the pandemic and everything, and so WrestleMania really doesn't happen. My only thing is, like, do we have to Logan Paul? Do we have to do that?
Celebrity, man.
I mean, I know he's a celebrity, but it's just, I mean, okay, I don't really even like Pat McAfee, but I will say that Pat McAfee did the thing. You know what I mean? And respect to him for the performance.
I want Bad Bunny versus Pat McAfee at WrestleMania 38.
I'll take it. How about next year in Dallas? Next year. Let's just do it next year. That'd be fantastic. But can we agree that Kevin Owens is jumping off some variant or some part of the pirate ship? That's happening. I don't know exactly how.
He's gonna jump off something. I said he's gonna jump off something.
I'm seeing pirate ships.
I don't know how they're gonna finagle it with that pirate ship. It was way up there on top of that Titantron or whatnot. But something's gonna happen. Some shenanigans.
They'll have to do it where it's like, it's a platform and stuff like that for, TV production, but it's like, and they happen to have the crash pad or whatever. Sort of like, I'm just thinking, I mean, this is way back when, guys, but like, imagine, what was it, Shane McMahon and Steve Blackman, that kind of thing, where it's like rigged up. I don't think they're going to go that far necessarily, like, that distance, or that height, but I do think that it could be pretty substantial, especially WrestleMania, and Kevin is a guy who, he would totally do that. He would totally do that spot, so I see that. Now, in terms of winning, I have to think Kevin Owens, just because Kevin Owens, I think, has had more of the momentum. I also think he's had the edge. I mean, if you guys watched, I think it was NXT TakeOver Rival, if I'm not mistaken, where Kevin Owens makes his debut. And I remember thinking, like, okay, this guy comes in, he's supposed to be a big deal. I'm like, whatever. I mean, okay, so he beat, what was it? He beat the green guy, but he beat Juice Robinson is who he beat. Yeah. And it's like, okay, he beat CJ Parker at the time, whatever. But when he threw Sami Zayn down, and that led to him becoming champion, I was like, oh my God, I couldn't believe it. This just random guy, as far as I'm concerned, because I didn't really watch ROH or anything, comes in and beats up a guy who has been in the company for 2 years and then becomes champion. I'm like, what are we doing? What is this? And I've just grown to respect Kevin Owens so much since then. I mean, even what he said on Twitter during the pandemic and, losing folks during the pandemic and, you should wear a mask for others and all this. Like, he just seems very courteous. He seems like a generally good dude. And Sami and the whole almost like QAnon stuff or just, kind of out of left field stuff. Okay. All that considered, and Logan Paul and all that, I just still don't see him beating Kevin Owens at the end of the day.
Makes sense. I don't know. I can't figure out, but who has the best of who in their confrontations against each other? I know the last major win came from Sami Zayn, I believe, right?
I think he finally did. Yeah, he beat him at some. Gosh, I don't remember.
Pay-per-view, and it was a real good match because he beat him with the haluva kick, and it was beautiful because it was just like they had this crazy ass match, and then it came to the end, and the camera zoomed right in on his face, and he was just like.
Yeah,
he knew what he had to do, and he just came across the ring and kicked him in the face, and he won.
It was almost it's not the same for anyone that remembers, but it sort of reminded me a little bit of Shawn Michaels and Ric Flair.
Ric Flair, hell yeah!
Kind of like, I can know we're friends, but I just have to, and then boom, haluva kick right there, And I want to say it was a SummerSlam, but I like my mind gets clouded because there's WWE just brings so much to the table. There's just so many moments and matches and things that. A lot of times you might think something happened at Battleground and it was actually SummerSlam and it might have been someone else, but it was at Battleground.
Yeah. And then they have the thing to where it doesn't matter how many good things they do one shitty thing to fuck it all up. So it's a lot of that too.
Yes, exactly. It was great until the finish and then this happened, or Brock Lesnar's not even in the match and he wins Money in the Bank or something like that. Interesting comment coming on Facebook there, but you just never know, B-Rob. You never know,
you missed the titty meat conversation when we were talking about Natalya slapping her sister titties. But
it's like every video, it's like, oh, okay, well, they're just making Easter eggs. Oh, nope, that turned into that too.
They're making titty eggs.
Yeah, he's like, oh, they're just making cookies today. Oh, nope, turned into that too. It's like, wow, and TJ is in these videos, and I'm like, do you realize what happens when you walk out the room, or is this all part of the deal? I don't know. I wonder.
All right, but we're unanimous on this one. Kevin Owens is going to take it. And next up on the card is You remember that guy that we spoke about a little while ago? He wrote the article about Bianca Belair and the braid and all kind of other stuff like that.
Yes.
This is the match that he should have wrote a fucking article on. A fucking Nigerian drum fight? What the fuck? What the fuck is this? I didn't know. I didn't know they had the stipulation or whatever. I knew these two were having a match, but where the fuck did the Nigerian drum fight? Not knowing what the fuck it is or what the fuck is going to be. It's coming to my mind right now. It's just like some daggone some dance fight. It's like a Beat It video and shit. You know, they fucking dancing and they playing
they put on the knives, yeah, and then they have to circle each other with the knife.
Yeah, they're just playing drums and looking at each other in the eyes. They're doing their drum line style and shit. Like,
a Revolutionary War match, like advance. You're just playing drums, you know, and stuff like. Also, and look, I understand there are people who don't have accents and then suddenly have them. You know, Lana is a good example of this.
Know what the fuck it is?
But it's like Apollo Crews we've been seeing in the show. It'd be different if the guy was like from NXT. And then, you know, all of a sudden became this, Nigerian or African prince or, something like that. Well, I mean, you didn't really watch him in NXT, so things can change, etc. You know, I mean,
they did reverse Kofi Kingston on this guy.
That's
reverse Kofi good. Kingston on Apollo Crews or whatever. He came in with a regular accent, and then he got one later. They did reverse Lana.
So it's like I'm from Jamaica, man, and I'm like, what are they doing? Like, I don't get this. And then he doesn't have it, and then he goes long enough without the accent. No, everyone knows Kofi Kingston, you know.
Surprised that he wanted to be like the fight on Black Panther or whatever.
Don't be surprised if one of them is dressed sort of Black Panthers, especially with Chadwick Boseman passing not too long ago.
To go with that, what Bryan said about the Black Panther fight, Big E is going to knock Apollo down, and he's going to say, "Is this your king? Is this your king?"
Yes, that'll be the thing, and the crowd will pop for that. I could see that. But is it just me, B-Rob? Or do I think of those stupid, like, I want to say it was Dolph Ziggler and Sheamus or something, but those Music City matches where it was like they had like drums and instruments and crap in the ring, and they're just like hitting each other with drums, you know? And it's like, why are we doing this? Like, what is this? Or Elias, you know? It's like, now he's hitting him with drumsticks. It's like, okay, but why?
Yeah, they're gonna have it's just a drum lumberjack match. It's just the ring is gonna be surrounded by drums.
A lumberjack match.
A drummerjack. Oh, that's what it's gonna be. Watch, it's just gonna be the ring surrounded by people playing Nigerian drums and shit. And they're gonna fight in the ring. They'll replace the turnbuckles and the ropes with Nigerian drummers and shit or whatever. That's what it's gonna be. Goddamn,
that'd be great. A drumberjack match. I could see Vince McMahon and Pritchard, with their sort of, back year ideas or whatever. I could see them doing that. Well,
enough of this shit. Enough of that shenanigans. Let's go to the next match. I don't even want to deal with it no more. My mind's gonna be all over the fucking place.
I kind of think Apollo wins because they're building up the whole Nigerian drum, this and that, and his accent and everything. Maybe it's his moment because he hasn't really had one since he was the U.S. champion for, I don't know, a month or something, till Baron Corbin just basically, walked over his back on the way to being king and everything else.
Yeah. There we go. He says it's gonna be like the Kumite or whatever. They're gonna have a pit full of glass and shit. They're gonna have to dip their hands in glue, and they're gonna just fight in the ring while drums play. Fuck it.
Exactly. Right. Anyway. And then the drum beats harder as like more things happen.
Oh, it'll be like the Inferno match, or whatever. Every time you do a big move,
an audio Inferno match is what it is. It gets louder.
Yeah, every time.
Literally, right when you said that, I was like, I'm thinking audio Inferno match. So yeah, great minds right there, B-Rob.
Yeah, as soon as the fight gets intense, the drums get harder and faster.
I'll tell you what, as long as Braun Strowman comes out with a cello, to like rival the drum and then beats up people, I'm okay with that because that is one of the funniest things I've ever seen.
We're gonna keep falling down the rabbit hole. Fuck that. Sheamus and Matt Riddle. Not too much pomp and circumstance to this. I don't think Sheamus is going to win. He's been doing the job as a veteran does and whatnot. I don't see him being the United States champion again.
Yes. I've never been like high on Matt Riddle, so to speak. But
I see what you did there.
I only thought of it actually after I said it. I mean, I guess he's kind of high himself. But the thing is, I mean, no judgment on that. I mean, if you use drugs or whatever, I mean, RVD obviously does a lot as far as we know and as far as stories go. But that said, I just, I, I've never been the biggest Matt Riddle fan. I would like if Sheamus had kind of another run and whatnot. I don't think it's really going to happen. And I think that the momentum is behind Riddle. I do kind of like the barefoot in the ring, I mean, it's hard to do things, but it seems like he does it.
Please correct me if I'm wrong, but are they really doing the birds fly out when you do the slipper kick, or is that somebody did on the internet?
I honestly have not seen that. I know a lot of these storylines, like almost all of them. Riddle, not so much. I really haven't seen anything, and WWE doesn't really hype things. It's just like, oh, he won his match. As for birds and stuff, I really don't even know.
Yeah, they met on the bump. That was pretty cool.
On the bump. Oh, wow.
Oh, that's another one because you get high at the bump.
I wonder if WWE thought about that kind of, when they put that together. The birds are real.
Fuck.
Wow.
Anyway,
I mean, how did that even start? Does anyone know? Like, because I don't know.
I have no clue. I thought it was just somebody goofed it on the internet just to make fun of it or whatnot, but whatever.
And honestly, B-Rob, I could see it ending almost the same. I mean, obviously no MVP this time, but that Sheamus misses a brogue kick, and then that opens the door for Matt Riddle to be able to do his finisher, or, it stuns him enough, whatever, and he's able to do his finisher, and then it's like, bro, and he ends up winning.
Yeah.
Let's
get to the match that we're more intrigued about, and that is Asuka versus Rhea Ripley. I could see Rhea taking it. I think she's owed a moment because we all agree that Charlotte wasn't the right pick to win that match at her last WrestleMania or whatever. I mean, I know why they did it. We understand why they did it, but as far as to give the fans what they want, Rhea Ripley was the right call in that moment or whatever. And I think this is just a payback right here.
Could be, but see, my thing is, okay, I could see Rhea taking it, and the main reason is because Paige did it from NXT, and it's like she came out, and I'm like, wait, so someone's going to debut, and she's going to fight for the championship, so you imagine she's going to do like John Cena in his match against, Kurt Angle, where it's like,
she's not debuting, she's not debuting, she's returning.
Well, yeah, no, but I mean, from like a, from this like sort of stage, you know what I mean? I mean, she's been on it before, but it's not like the same, the same kind of energy. Whereas like, here I see it as being like, it's definitely like her moment. It's going to be like a big deal, but especially after Bianca won, I just don't see them doing like two new women's champions and completely making it new. I could see her, maybe she goes over on SummerSlam or something, but I would predict Asuka to win just because I don't know that they would want to do both of those in the same weekend.
I don't know. It remains to be seen, but I'm still ride with Ripley. But I do agree with your points that you've made or whatever. It's just like,
it's gonna be a great match, though.
Yeah, it's just like, here you are. You had this young girl, 2 back-to-back WrestleManias. Was it 2 back-to-back? Yeah, it's 2 back-to-back WrestleManias.
Well, whatever the last one was.
Was the last
one? The last WrestleMania we had, what was it? I mean, because they had one during the pandemic, right? But like, it wasn't. It was like at Full Sail or something. I don't remember exactly.
My timeline was jacked up.
It was hard, y'all. Not because of like COVID or anything necessarily. Okay, but it was hard. It was hard to like get invested in that because there's no fans and it's not like a spectacle, So it just isn't the same when it's like it's WrestleMania, but it's an NXT arena. Like if you're playing a video game, like you're playing WWE 2K, and you're going to play a WrestleMania match, but then you change the arena and you turn it into like NXT. You're like, what? Why am I doing that? Like, why did it randomly choose that when clearly we're leading up to a WrestleMania? Like, why is it NXT? It's almost kind of like my mentality thinking of like last year's WrestleMania. So
your mentality versus her brutality. I understand. I get it.
The nightmare is upon us,
Speaking of nightmares. We got The Fiend versus Randy Orton in a shenanigans match. I mean, they didn't put a stipulation on it, but that's what this is straight up going to be, a shenanigans match. And, and look,
is it a roaches on the screen match, or is it something else?
This it would be a cool callback that they do something like that, though.
But, or no, a House of Horrors match, but with Alexa Bliss in it. You know, so they'll still drive in a limo to go fight each other for some odd reason. But
this is a gripe that I have.
Be there too.
This is a gripe that I have with this match. We got more titty meat in the chat. Hey, this is a gripe that I have with this match, though. People are jumping on the Fiend, talking about he came back all burnt up, logically, because he got burnt up on TV or whatever. Oh, is he gonna wrestle like that? And then daggone, is he gonna just be the same Fiend or whatever? I was like, look, first of all, Randy Orton got a fireball in the fucking face, came out with a burned face, then the next week he was healed. What made you think the Fiend with all his magical powers and all this other bullshit?
He's a legend Terminator.
You know, gonna come back, you know, with the, you know, regular Fiend garb or some shit like that, or some different variation of the thing. He doesn't have to be burnt the whole fucking time. It's make believe. It's a goddamn TV show, you dumbasses. So
right, and the thing is, B-Rob, it's all about spectacle. As long as it doesn't look like whatever the heck that was in AEW, we're good. You know, as long as it looks like someone's getting burned, like, oh no, oh, there's such an explosion. There's like sparklers going off in the background. You're like, hey,
yeah, toasty.
That was tough to watch. That was really that's really especially with the Titanic music. That was tough to watch.
Did you see the little internet clip somebody made or whatever? Like Kane doing the little shit at the Hall of Fame speech, and when he dropped his arms, it was the little sparklers from AEW.
And I love it how they're like, what do you expect? What did you think was going to happen? I'm like, I don't know, maybe something that looked cool visually. Mm-hmm. You know, I mean, you know, maybe it looks like actual fire.
Where's the kaboom? The earth-shattering kaboom.
But he's covering him because he's exploding. It's like he's practically ending him. I'm like, man, you guys had to have like practiced this or watched this or something. But then again, you know, Tony Khan does those commercials. So, I mean, I guess there's not too much editing over there, but that's a different story.
Anyway. Yeah, they leave in all the botches for recorded shows. I don't understand that. Anyway, I don't foresee Randy Orton coming out victorious on this, because everything that they built up to this has led to the contrary. So, whatever.
Especially Alexa Bliss, she could just screw, you know, Randy Orton in this. You know, she could just do something.
That's what a lot of the internet fans are saying, that she screwed Randy Orton when she sat on his lap that one time or whatever.
Although, not do that, because his wife was not happy with that apparently. So, yeah.
That was fun.
But no, I just mean that she just needs to get involved. It doesn't even need to be definitive. But if you think about it, Orton kind of does need, or, you know, it's like Bray Wyatt kind of does need the win, right? Because of the dumb shenanigans with Orton and Wyatt before, where it was like, he's, you know, he has powers and he can put, it was like roaches on the screen. It almost seemed AEW dumb, but, you know, it was like roaches on the screen and distracting Randy Orton, but it's like, oh, but he still loses.
Yeah. We'll see.
So he has control of everything but the match outcome. Well, that sucks.
Yeah.
You know?
Screw Randy Orton. Screw him. Fuck him.
Just make sure that Alexa doesn't finish the same, because, like I said, she was not a fan of the finish.
Yeah, she'll finish all right. Ski. Anyway, now we're on to the main event. Triple threat match, and I have enjoyed all the memes that I've seen across the internet, to where they've inserted Daniel Bryan into like these iconic one-on-one matches or whatever.
Yeah.
But we got Daniel Bryan versus Edge versus Roman Reigns for the WWE Universal Championship. I'm not going to even put a prediction on this one, because I am not upset with the outcome for this, for, you know, if it whatever way it goes, because we got Roman Reigns that came back from leukemia, we got Edge that came back from a neck injury, and we got Daniel Bryan that came back from some concussion problems and other injuries, all together in a main event. And it's fucking awesome that they're still healthy, they're still here, and they're still competing. So I do not have an official pick for this match. But moving forward from this, I look at it as, you know, if they go forward with Roman, what else is there for him to do? I mean, there's still other credible people, which, I mean, we just had Cesaro win. So, I mean, that's a feel-good moment. And, that's momentum behind that victory. So, I mean, they could be prepping Cesaro for something down the line.
Could be.
If you have Edge win, all we get really is the benefit of maybe continuing a feud with him and Daniel Bryan, or, get to see some potential matches with him and talent that we have not seen him get to work with, which if he did win, I believe he would go forward with Daniel Bryan, just a one-on-one match. Now,
yeah.
Flip side, if Daniel Bryan walks out of this, it could be easily the same thing with Edge, like I just said, but he can go on to Cesaro as well, and they can have some crazy shit between just them two alone. So
yeah, the two indie darlings, especially with Cesaro and Bryan. A lot of people knowing Claudio from back in the days and whatnot. So I mean, I'm sure that momentum can ride too. But wouldn't you agree that Daniel Bryan kind of has the least chances? I know there's all the meme and stuff like that, but like the least chances, just like storyline of winning.
I mean, I believe
like he had to be inserted. With Edge, it's special. With Roman, of course, you continue.
Yeah.
And one more thing, I feel like Roman. I mean, look, I don't know. Look, all these people, they know about contracts, and they're like, oh, he's probably going to come back in February of 25 or whatever. I don't know. But just in terms of like what we've seen, or in terms of what's left for Roman, especially being head of the table, and with Paul Heyman, Brock Lesnar returning would be huge.
Mm-hmm. And then,
like after this,
just looking at Roman right here, if he lost here, it would be the end of him essentially. Because I mean, what else is there to do with a titleless Roman Reigns? He can't be head of the table without the title.
Yeah, exactly.
So it's
most ambitious at the table. It'd be a great shirt, y'all. It'll be on WWE Shop tomorrow.
Yeah,
most ambitious at the table.
So it's just like he has to win. He has the most to lose by losing.
Yes.
So I mean, so with that being said, I guess if I had to take a pick, I know I was going to exclude from this match or whatever, I believe Roman Reigns retains. And it just goes on to Daniel Bryan and Edge feuding because they costed each other a title match.
Yeah, it could be. And a match that we haven't seen. I don't know. Have we seen a Daniel Bryan Edge match? I don't know. If someone knows, that's awesome. But I don't remember. I don't recall. And if you did you see a big one? Did you see like a pay-per-view match, or was it just like it's a special on Raw, or something like that? Okay, whatever.
And I believe the
old school Raw or some crap,
I believe the other Uso is healthy too, so you can probably have another Pitbull come out there and help with the finish shenanigans.
Main Event Jay. Did they come up with that name like 2 weeks ago? Like I don't remember.
Oh no, they've been calling him that ever since him and Roman had the main event. Ever since him and Roman had the main event match, leading up to that, they start calling them that.
Because I'm like, I didn't feel like the name got mentioned so much though. Like it's really been pushed in the last month, Because I've been watching Friday Night SmackDown at least more than Raw, and because I really do think it's the A show. I really do think it's the A show. Especially when you look at a lot of like, okay, like I was talking with some friends, you included, B-Rob, like on Twitter, and I was saying, is night 2 less exciting in a way than night 1? And I think it's because a lot of the night 1 people, I was, my favorites really liking in night 1, whereas night 2, yeah, they're on Raw and yeah, they're champions, in a lot of cases, but it's like, I'm just not as invested in them as the Friday Night SmackDown people.
Yeah. It's just, I agree with Bryan down here or whatever. He's like, you going with Bryan because Roman needs new motivation and Edge wants to have dream matches with other people, and it doesn't need a belt for that. So I agree. So that's why I kind of like forego my pick earlier, because I mean we got all this, here we got all this information about these 3 individuals or whatnot, and Bryan and Roman moving forward could be good shit because I mean they have a past and whatnot. And, we all wanted to see the spear versus spear, which we'll get that on some level here in the triple threat. But,
yeah,
it'd be what it be.
Yeah, and for Edge, of course, it's just the comeback story. Like, how amazing would it be if he won? So I'm like flip-flopping between Roman Reigns and Edge, but it's like my prediction's almost not Daniel Bryan. It's kind of what it comes down to for me. I guess if I had to pick, like, I'm leaning towards. I've been leaning towards Edge, but now that I think about the whole possibility of Brock and sort of like who does he pick between, Brock and Roman, I don't know. Maybe it ends up being switched in my mind. Maybe I go with Roman at the very end.
And then you keep saying Brock and Roman. I mean, we don't need to go to that well anymore. Everybody is clamoring for Brock and Bobby.
True. It was just surprising because, man, I would have turned that off in 2002 or 2003. Yeah, like, I would not have cared because it's just like, oh, it's just two big men, and whatnot. And didn't they already fight, though, Lesnar and Lashley, like at least pre-Hurt Business? Didn't they already kind of fight and Lesnar was able to win?
I have no clue. I doubt it.
I feel like it was like an Extreme Rules, or it was it was one of those sort of like middle pay-per-views,
Bryan in the chat might be more of a historian about it. He got this big brain for wrestling and shit.
Yeah, I've probably got like 5 things wrong since we started, but I'm just, trying to go off best knowledge as I can, especially with timelines being screwed up, like you said, with the pandemic and everything else.
Never fought.
Oh, never fought. There you go. Thank you, Bryan.
Yeah.
So then there you go. There's more intrigue. So maybe there's all the reason in the world to do that and keep it on Roman, and I don't know, like, especially with Lashley, the title he has, maybe Lesnar just wants to go after that, because since Friday Night SmackDown changed or whatever, Lesnar hasn't come back as far as I know, so he could still pick whichever show.
Yeah.
In theory.
Yep. Austin Theory.
That's the way.
Yeah. I see what you did there.
There you go. And they stay there, y'all.
Well, I mean, that's pretty much it, man. I mean, as far as night 2 goes or whatever, out of all the matches that we spoke about, what one is the you're looking the most toward?
I mean, of course, I would say it really is the main event. Unlike last night, there isn't like sort of that show stealer that I can think of. So yeah, I mean, I just have to say that because there's so many different ways it can go and so many different storylines that build forward, I really do think it's going to be Roman, Edge, and Bryan. And I think surely we're going to see something tonight that plants the seed for what that future is, whether it's for, like you said, Bryan and Edge going at it, or whether it's, Roman and whose opponent he has or something like that. And if it doesn't, then like you said, you still got Raw, you still got SmackDown, coming up in the next week. And so there's lots of opportunity for something to really bloom. People go, oh, crap, now I do need to get Peacock or whatever.
Yeah, get the cock, baby.
They didn't think that one through. It was,
as far as what I'm looking forward to for night 2, it's not too much, man. I'm just looking forward to the spectacle that is WrestleMania. But night 1, I could have been content with that. We could have not had a WrestleMania tonight or whatever.
Yes.
And I could have been fine with that.
Like, if I could only go to one, and obviously I didn't go to Florida, I didn't go to Tampa or anything. But if this would have been the same situation in Dallas and you have to, either go to both or you pick one of the two, I would have just gone to night 1 and been like, I'm good.
Yeah. Because, night 2 seems like it's just filled with a whole bunch of shenanigans and gimmicks and shit. I know. Yes. I mean, the only thing they had last night was the cage match, right?
Pretty much, yeah. I mean, it's really
turmoil match was like, it wasn't too gimmicky or whatever, but
no, or like the spectacle of Bad Bunny. There was that X Factor intrigue, but other than that, I really don't know. I don't know that there's anything that is really just like. I will say, Bryan, it looks like mentioned KO versus Sami. Yeah, that's probably the number 2 that I would say. And some would say, well, why not the Intercontinental? And I'm like, because it just that Nigerian drumberjack match just doesn't matter that much to me.
Goddamn, it's gonna be like the Busta Rhymes video. They're just gonna have a whole bunch of people in Nigerian garb standing around the ring.
Well, you had Snoop Dogg for Sasha. Why don't you just have Busta like rapping 100 miles a minute, while they're drumming and stuff like that? That could work.
Well, Wale is going to be there. He's going to perform Big E entrance. So,
so there you go. There you go. I mean, all the more reason. So you got Black Panther, you got Wale performing there, and you got Busta Rhymes.
Dude, if you want to write a racial inequality piece on some shit, There you go. The Nigerian drum fight is what you should have been writing an article on, you dumb son of a bitch.
Yeah, but I just don't think that Bianca should use her hair that way. I feel like it really sets race relations back. I'm like, wasn't it 2 black people in the match, and weren't they both like okay with it? And also, hasn't Bianca done this before? Like, is this your first night watching WWE?
Listen, let's not do it. Yeah, I don't know. I just want to kind of get night 2 over with so we can get to Raw and SmackDown to see what's going to happen after that. Because
see what happens next. Yeah,
what happens next? I mean, like I said, I've got everything that I wanted to get out of WrestleMania last night. So
yeah, like I'll check it out, but I'll be honest, I may not even watch all of it live. Just because it doesn't have that same intrigue to me. I just, I was just like glued to my seat last night.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you got any closing thoughts or anything like that? Because I mean, this is where we put the pin in it, homeboy.
Absolutely. Well, thanks for having me, B-Rob. And the thing about it is, we can't sleep on the fact that Daniel Bryan has already been putting all these memes and stuff. I think the only thing we haven't done when it comes to those memes is put Bernie Sanders in the triple threat with the 3 men. Somehow Bernie Sanders sitting. But the thing about it is, we can't sleep on the idea of Yeselmania too, because it did happen, in New Orleans, and it was pretty unlikely. I mean, he was going to be Triple H. That was just a dumb setup, whatever, for the end.
Yeah.
But the point is, you didn't know that Daniel Bryan was going to win the match in the end, and it ended up popping the crowd immensely. So it's like we can't sleep on that possibility either. So I just think it makes it so tough. But final prediction, I would say, is that Roman retains. I'll say that Roman retains.
Yes, I agree with that. And if you put these 2 side by side, the night 1, night 2, or whatever, we'll probably get more analytics from HR from either the chat or tweets and whatnot. Night 1 is going to outdraw night 2 by leaps and bounds, I believe, or whatever.
Oh yeah, but I think so too.
But it remains to be seen. I'm still going to be watching it. They're going to get my analytics from my device or whatever. I'm going to be streaming it and shit. So it is what it is.
How many tweet engagements and whether WrestleMania is the number 1 trend of the night. That's always what, it says on the screen and whatnot. We'll see.
Bad Bunny won't be there, so it ain't going to be good.
No, yeah, I'm telling you, that guy is a superstar. And y'all, I'll tell you, I hope we get one more match from Bad Bunny, even if it's during SummerSlam, because if freaking Stephen Amell and that boring offense got 2 nights, then Bad Bunny's got to have another match in him.
That shit, I wouldn't be surprised if he pop up on Raw, do some shenanigans, have another match.
That'd be awesome. I know that this guy, he can't be on every Raw, especially when they start going on the road, but as much as possible, I would love it.
The tell of the tape is going to be if they come out with a Bunny Destroyer shirt.
Yes.
They have him just doing the Destroyer on a bunny or some shit like that. It's going to be crazy. I might buy it. If they make one of those.
Yes, sir. That'll sell for sure.
I don't buy many shirts, but I might buy that one. If they have a photorealistic or even a character version of Bad Bunny doing a Canadian Destroyer to a bunny, I might buy it.
Also, he needs to be downloadable. I will not buy WWE 2K, and I don't think other people should if Bad Bunny isn't in the game. He needs to be in that game.
Boycott 2K22 if they don't have Bad Bunny as an unlockable character.
Especially people floating in the ring and all the glitches and everything going on. I mean, you have to at least give us Bad Bunny.
If he is not a pre-order character or a season pass character, fuck 2K22.
I don't know. How about this, B-Rob? You have the glitch where they're above the ring, and it's these ladder matches. People just start floating around and crap. And you just put Estoy and Me Peak, and it's Bad Bunny way above the ring. There you go.
The tractor trailer entrance will be on the game, and he'll just drive through the ring. But no, man, we're gonna go down the rabbit hole.
Rabbit hole. Oh, I see what you did there.
See, that could be.
I didn't think of that one. That was right there.
That's his finisher, the rabbit hole.
That's awesome.
But all right, on behalf of myself and Tall Mike, which that's what I have you in my contact information. That has been it for Wrestling This Trash. We appreciate you for stopping in and listening.